Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. In your commentary box, we have Fiona Foley from Team Curl Jam and coach of the men's Team Collins. And
we've also got Anne Pell, who's also on Team Curl Jam, as well as the second coach of Team Collins.
So we're here this evening at the 2025 Australian National Curling Championships. It's draw 7. We're looking at Sheet C with teams Johns and Armstrong.
So this is actually a pretty exciting draw that we're getting to commentate, because this is the last of the round robins with the winner of this team coming on top of the draw. However, both teams aren't going to qualify for positions seeded 1 and 2 in the quarterfinals.
We're actually derelicting our coaching duties on our men's team, who are on Sheet B, because this game looked a little more interesting.
Yeah, although there's some exciting games out there tonight as well on the other sheets, with Sheet B going to be the winner of that team going through to the quarterfinals, and Sheet D is also the winner of that team will go through to the quarterfinals.
Some exciting times. Excellent. So, who started? Oh, I think I need to do something about the hammer.
Oh, yeah. We're just working out the technical aspects of this, which I'd just like to say that Brad Scott, who's playing on Sheet B, has actually been putting a lot of extra hours on, probably relegating his team duties to try and get these feeds up live for viewers back home.
All right, I think I've managed to indicate that the yellow team has the hammer.
Okay.
So who have we got throwing here?
We've got Hugh Milliken. So Hugh actually, I remember him, when he threw back in 1937. Full head of hair.
In that one game that he had hair.
Look at that. They are shiny knees. Look at that.
So what are they trying to do here, Anne?
So they're just trying to unseat that. It's a lovely rock.
Ah, beautiful.
Apparently we've got strict instructions to not criticise Hugh's shots tonight. We may be derelict in our duties later towards the game, but I think we've done a good job so far. Well done us. And here we go. So here we have Derek.
So are we trying to take out this...
Just trying to get a hit and roll, but I think it's not the...
I think this is what we call a flashy.
Flashy?
Yeah. So if the rock glides on through the house, it's called a flash.
So for those viewers back home, back in Melbourne ice, we'd be trying to run the Zamboni line down there, but this is actually very swingy ice. They've actually, the rocks are curling a lot more than what we'd expect on our ice.
And a big shout out to Reese for making such delightful ice for us
thanks,
to play
Reese.
on.
When I play well, Reese is always my best friend, and when I don't, less so. Poor Reese. We've got a bit of a crowd coming up here upstairs to watch these great games tonight.
So it looks like we're coming into the house with this shot.
It's sitting a bit wide, so I think they're trying to have the split house and not allow any doubles up for the team.
It's a nice rock.
That's quite
Can we
nice
get someone to turn our TV on?
I don't think it's working.
Oh, okay.
All right, so Dustin scored control weight. So control weight, for those that don't know, is a hit weight. They usually judge it according to the hog-to-hog line. And usually in most teams, a control weight is about sort of 10-5 seconds from hog to hog.
We've got Thomas delivering here with a toe slide style of delivery. And he loves a good hit, doesn't he?
Thomas does like a hit, which is very
beautiful.
nicely.
So that's a hit and roll.
Yep.
Very nice.
All right,
so Skip Hugh Milliken is calling for another hit. These guys do like to hit, don't they?
They're very good at it. Makes sense. They don't have hammer, so they're really trying hard for a steal at this stage, trying to hide it behind. So Matt was actually the skip of the Mixed 4 Australian team that was held in Aberdeen in Scotland last year. He's got a lot of experience here. There's actually a lot of experienced players on both teams today. Didn't quite get the roll. No, he's quite happy with that. They're really sitting quite pretty at the moment.
It's looking like a lot of red out there at the moment.
So I think Hugh's strategy is he's really trying to make a force, which he's doing very well for, and he's setting himself up that he may be able to get a steal. But with all the red in play, Dustin really needs to get something in there.
And for those who don't know what a force is, it's keeping the team to just 1 point. Is that right?
Yeah, those with hammer, you want to keep them with one and not let them build a big end.
Nice shot. Two nice hits from Thomas.
Yeah, Thomas plays fourth rocks for the junior men who are going to, they have to play their competitions in July to see which team will represent Australia in the junior men's. Juniors is actually under 21 years of age, not under 18 years of age.
Quite the hit-a-thon going on. Who we got throwing next?
So we've got Sam up at the moment, Sam Williams. Sam's been playing since he was on juniors. Certainly gone above and beyond with their shirts this year. Team Catfish there. Quite impressed, actually.
Yes. So the third position does tend to throw quite a few hits, don't they?
In this case, so he was going the double on that one. Obviously got the first one, but it can be quite harder on the swinging ice to call that line for getting the double out.
So Hugh's calling for a draw into the house here.
Yep. So just remembering, he knows he doesn't have last shot, so he's really just trying to hide behind his guard there.
Steve's asking for a bit more ice here to account for the swing.
Mm-hmm. So Steve Johns.
Sweeping extraordinaire.
He can sweep a nice rock. There's a good call of his to increase his ice there, because ticking the guard is not what they want. So that's a beautiful rock.
Oh.
Well called ice by Steve on himself there.
Jolly good. Looking for a hit and roll here, huh?
So pointing to the shoulder, which you can see Dustin pointing to his head, but then went back to his shoulder. So
heads and shoulders, knees and toes.
Knees and toes. So shoulder is usually what we call normal. So that would be, depending on the team, once again, probably 995 seconds between the two hog lines. So the two hog lines are the red lines. So that one, and then one they're about to cross there. So that just gives the teams an idea of the speed. He's actually swinging. It's got a big swing in to out, so you've really got to account for that as a team.
Just
so
got a piece of it.
Yeah.
It's looking pretty clean here.
So once again, you have to just think about what was Hugh after. He's after a force, just allowing them to get one with the hammer. But he's still in a position where they do make an error at the end that, they may actually get a steal.
All right, so we've got Tanner up next.
So Tanner's been on the men's team for quite a few years now. He was actually living in Canada, throwing quite a few rocks in Canada, but he's moved to Sydney, which is a bit sad for him until Sydney get themselves some curling ice.
Indeed.
So currently the Sydney Association hasn't got any curling ice to play on. The only 3 states are Victoria, Western Australia and Queensland. Tanner is doing some work there.
And why does he have a weird broom?
Thomas really wants a corn broom too, and I've banned him unless, we've won a few games. So really, you can actually deliver with any device. You can go with the old corn brooms if you want. You just can't sweep with a device like a broom that's not accredited. But you can deliver with whichever broom you'd like.
Or even a crutch?
Yep.
Is that what they call?
Yep.
When were corn brooms phased out? Was it after Hugh broke them all?
Probably. I have one of the only unbroken Hugh Milliken corn brooms in my possession. It's going to be worth a fortune. I reckon it's going to be worth at least $50. I'm keeping it. I'm keeping it for that reason. I'm quite proud of it.
All right, we've got Dustin, skip of Team Armstrong. Wanting to get something in the house?
Yeah, Dustin's been chasing this elusive win for quite a few years now, and usually he's been up against Dean Hewitt, who is obviously putting his attentions into the mixed doubles Olympic dream of getting to the Olympics. So he's not here playing at the men's competition this year.
But he has just won a bronze medal in the world.
Did just win bronze.
With his partner,
Tali Gill, correct. It's very exciting for Australian curling. And
both Olympians' mums have been playing in the women's competition.
They have indeed, against each
we
other.
Had a mum off
we
last
had a mum
night.
Off. There was a mum off last, yeah.
It's a bit deep there.
It's okay though.
Yep. So we've got Tanner's last shot.
Yeah, so Tanner's just going to try and sink it in there. Wants to make sure that they can't just hit their last one and then sit 2. So if Tanner can just pop one in there, then that just...
Got quite a low delivery, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
So that particular slide is can be referred to as the Manitoba
Looks
slide.
wide.
It does.
So they're talking weight. I'm more interested in weight at this stage, but they're looking at the backing. It's actually fine. So they've really just eliminated that ability for them to get 2. It's a lovely rock.
And the team with the hammer throws the last rock. And they'll be wanting to draw to the button, I would imagine. Or anywhere.
So
Out-counting those red rocks.
I'd actually competed for Australia, and we had trivia night fundraiser, and the question was, what's the thingo in the centre of the house? And I didn't know the answer. So my nickname at many tournaments has been Button.
And
so
button,
for those at home, the little spot in that centre that we'd love, that Dustin really wants to get close to right about now, is called the Button.
Let's see if we can get it there. I think the buttons here are a little bit bigger than your...
I don't know. They'd be the standard size, possibly. Reese's actually was telling me that they've put a little... they do what the ice skaters do, and they just bring down the ice a bit and put some talky, like, spray in there, and then he ices it over again to get the rings in to make them very clear. got actually a light green one out at the moment. They're sweeping that one out. Oh, look at that go.
Do we think that red's got it?
Hard to tell from this end, but the viewers will be able to see it from the lovely overhead view that they get to see, that we don't get to see.
One to red. Now I have to figure out how to...
Now we're going to have some technical issues as we work out how to change the hammer there.
Can you hum some elevator music while I...
Yeah, sure. So I think while we've got this 1 minute break, which teams are allowed to just recoup and decide what their strategy is going to be for the end, I think we should just thank our Naseby community.
Yes.
We don't actually have competition ice in Australia, and our Naseby Kiwi friends welcome us every year, put on a bit of a spread and a show and really make this ice beautiful for us. So I'm immensely jealous of our Kiwi friends, and any Australian politicians listening on, it'd be really lovely to get some ice in Australia.
Yes.
So we've got Hugh Milliken going again.
So it looks like we're getting a centre guard here, which is a pretty common strategy for the non-hammer team.
Tanner and Steve are having a bit of a gossip down the ice.
Must be
very calm,
very
calm. I think he's brought it a little bit too close.
Gone into the house. So this opens things up for some more hitting. So if he'd managed to get it right on the centre line, there's been a fairly recent rule that means that if it's on the centre line and the other team hits it off, they
get the choice to put it back if they want to. So if you look at the other sheets, they've often got a lot more rocks in play. Some of the teams that we're playing this is a very clean. These guys are playing very clean. They're hitting stuff that's there. There's really not much in there. But there is the 5 rock rule. So if people are actually placing guards up front, you can't take them out of play until after 5 rocks have been delivered. And that's made it, it used to just be a real hitting game, and they've tried to do that. These boys have decided to take things into their own hands and just hit things anyway by putting them into the house. But there we go. Loving their hits. You can see Matt Panussi putting his hand in the air, going, that weight is a bit higher than what was possibly called for, but it was nice sitting and sticking on the edge there.
And you'll see that most of the team members are wearing stopwatches, so teams will often measure various times to help them to know whether they need to sweep. And so a lot of people ask what the sweeping does. Can you
well, there's all of this technical stuff, but from a really basic perspective, I'd just say that you can see here that Sam's
so they're sort of sweeping it to keep it straighter.
Correct.
So, yeah.
So on a hit, essentially it's sweep in front of it, you're going to keep it straighter, you're going to keep curl. If you actually look at the rock as it comes down, it tends to come down fairly straight, and then it'll hit what we call a break point. So usually about 3/4 of the way down the ice, it'll then break and turn back the other way. So usually if you sweep it before it hits that break point, you'll keep it a lot straighter.
We're getting
just
some
a special shout out there to Amanda's husband, Russ, who was actually with us in Aberdeen. I can't remember how many years ago. A few years ago, as a support crew.
I was also there as the coach of the mixed force.
Yes, Fiona Foley, Coach Foley, otherwise affectionately known by Hugh Milliken, was actually coach before she played curling a little bit. But anyway, that she was actually probably one of the best coaches that Hugh Milliken's ever had.
I tried to keep him in line.
That's right. You do have different types of coaches. So we have our technical coaches. I suppose I coach the junior men's, trying to do a bit of technical coaching with them, as well as the fact that an adult does need to supervise the junior boys. But sometimes you do need that just. other coach that manages team dynamics and sorts things out.
So Thomas is trying to peel the guard here.
And he's just trying to... Yep, that's nice. So they've got hammer. So normally he would have liked to just roll that and not clog up the centre. So you're essentially what people say, why do you want that? Like, why do the people with hammer want to have stuff like guarded on the side, and why do people without hammer want to have it in the centre? Really, you want to have it that your skip has a nice view into the button.
Yeah.
A hit, like anything. So you want to just keep that nice and clear for them.
So that if your only last option is to draw to the button for one.
Oh, no, hit through the centre.
Yeah.
You just want to have a line.
So good strategy is choss up the middle and the front if you don't have hammer.
Yeah. Used to be that you'd always go out to the sides and a corner guard. A lot of teams now you'll just see it coming into the centre. If there's a front one, they'll just come and try and own that top four. We often talk about a rock, even if it looks beautiful, but it's just beyond that tee line, that halfway point of the circle. Then you can just come and sit on it. So it's a little bit dangerous.
They're often called death rocks.
I've thrown many a death rock in my time. Thanks for that, Coach
Haven't
Foley.
we all?
And
that's a flashy.
That's a flashy.
So I think we were talking about sweeping. So on the hits, if you sweep it before it starts curling, keeps it straight. If you sweep it after it starts curling,
still keeps it straight. It's just that how much straighter do you want to keep it? So the draw, like the other thing is that there's a lot of people that think you can direction sweep a hit. I'm not one of the believers of that.
Ooh, controversial.
Controversy. I don't believe in it. But I'm sure there's people that can do that well, particularly with the, the foam gate, controversies of.
Yes, there's been a few
certainly
broom-related
controversies. Every sport has to have a controversy, and I find it amusing that curling has broom controversies.
Broomgate.
Trying to get it round that centre. That's very nice.
Great shot. But yeah, so I think for a draw, you can kind of sweep it quite a distance beyond where it would have gone without sweeping.
Yeah.
So if it's thrown a little bit light, you can.
So Dustin's got two choices here. I think he's going for the traditional peel of the front rock because it's early up. So he's trying to just take that, or you can nose hit back. So the problem with nose hitting back is that your rock will still stay in play in the front. But no, they've gone the traditional
Peel the guard. So that opens up the front.
Yeah, nicely. It's very sort of hard to compare, like, to our, to our curlers back in Melbourne that are used to ice house. It's very much just chock them in is the way you win the game. Just get as many in the house as you can because the ice is like follow the Zamboni lines. It is a different game, isn't it?
So
when you come here, because you actually, it's not about that. So much it's about your placement of your guards, hiding behind it.
We often actually put the rocks where you intend them
to,
rather than just random.
And I think often people come back pretty on a high after Naseby, come back to Melbourne or WA or Queensland Ice, and then they lose terribly in the local tournament because their brain is trying to play the strategy.
What are they trying to do here? Come in for a freeze, or?
I don't know if I like this. No.
Can that be tripled?
Dustin's given it a good harsh looking.
He's calling a heavyweight here.
He's putting. This is what we like. This is a bit of fun.
This is a smashy.
So he's put his hand on his head. This is a pure weight. I reckon we need to know how many seconds. I should have brought my stoppie.
Oh, I've got one.
Oh, let's do it. Let's see what his hog to hog is. Let's see what his smashy pure weight. So I'm going a 7 second.
You think
what do you reckon? 7 second?
Yeah.
All right. Anyone at home, put your votes in online. Let's see what we've got hog to hog. So I'm going 7 seconds. Let's go. Right, so Now.
Yep.
Coming in. I'd given it 8 seconds. And now, what have we got?
Oh, 765.
765. Nice rock.
Didn't quite clear as many
As we
there
expected.
as...
That's actually very annoying for...
We're getting some fist bumps, so clearly happy with that result.
A few shrugs up there from... This is going to be Tanner's first rock. So the second last rock of the end for Team Milliken. So I think he's trying to work whether he can pop it out if they give enough weight on the outside. No, they're going a draw. So they're going to try and hide behind it, is my guess. Because even if they pop that red, but you don't want to be behind that red, they're going to do a big thing. But I think they're trying to... No, he's talking about sitting in top. No.
Or is it a hit?
He wants a tap back. So when he holds the broom like that, he's saying it's tap back way. So I think what he's trying to do is harm minimise. Even if he just pops that little red, like the red back a little bit and just pops the yellow out. I think that's probably what he's after. I think it's a little tap on the... I think he has to be on the inside of that yellow, doesn't he?
Sweeping up a storm here.
They are sweeping up a storm. They do have the tap back weight. It's the lion. I can't really see it from here. He looks like it's on the inside, and that's nice.
Beautiful. Yeah, boy.
I don't know. I think that they
We're thinking from Dustin here. Can we smash this up?
I think they've made it tricky for them. Yes, is the answer. I mean, he has to clear the front, right? He's got his second last shot. He can't leave it like this, so he's got to move some rocks. So I don't think there's a bad thing here. It's just you got to move some rocks.
Some more smashy.
Yeah, you can't leave it where it is. Sometimes the danger is like you don't want to lose your rock, but you just got to lose your rock if that's the plan B.
Well, so I think curling's quite strategic. I think when I first started curling, I thought that you sort of wanted to be close to the button on every shot, but sometimes it's better to set up some guards and tuck in behind them and take out some bits and pieces and then reveal your grand finale.
Oh,
so a lot of thought going into this.
A lot of thought.
Is this a timeout?
I think I think these guys have been playing pretty quick, actually, to be fair. The game's been moving. So I think that's the thing, like, if your front players are playing really quick, they're in the hack and they let it go, then it does allow your team a little bit of thought time at the end of each end.
So we've got 2 hours and 40 minutes allocated for
that's very generous.
For 8 ends.
Sandy and Rob have been very generous. I suppose we should use this opportunity to thank Sandy and Rob Gagnon. What absolute troopers. They're our official umpires. I think Sandy is chief umpire, which is only fitting for Sandy to be the chief umpire. Yes. And then Rob as the, I don't know.
Deputy?
Vice
umpire?
Vice. Let's call him vice. We don't know any of the technical terms. We're not really technical, sorry. And
but they volunteer their time for this.
They do volunteer their time. They're amazing. So
huge shout out.
Huge shout out. They don't get paid for it. They come along as volunteers. We actually used to play these tournaments without an umpire. It wasn't pleasant. It's become much more professional. Not professional, but it's actually just become like, I mean, imagine playing a game of basketball without an umpire. Like, you know, it's just, it was a bit of a...
So they keep us on time and they get called out if there's a bit of uncertainty about which rock's closer. They can do a measure.
Usually people manage their games pretty well with the spirit of curling and, you know, just knowing what the rules are. That is way wide and and needs to come.
Super wide.
Interesting choice. I think I would have. Like everything's an interesting choice. If you make the shot, it's bloody great. Everyone celebrates it. I think.
Is that...
No. So 2 odds there.
Is there some biting of that?
I don't think it matters.
Okay.
I mean, it does matter, but I don't think it's going to matter in this one.
Not for the outcome of this end.
Matters though, like even it was like, yeah, it matters for the bite because it is backing. So I think in this case though, it's going to be more backing for the opposition rock. So, but usually you don't mind some backing if you've got hammer for yourself.
Dustin's just checking to see if that's biting. Looks like it is.
So my first team ever playing in Melbourne was with Sandy and Rob Gagnon. So they have been supporting it since Victoria was playing at Bendigo, I think it was. It was in the country. I'm pretty sure it was Bendigo. Apparently it was so bad that they couldn't see the other end because it was so steamy. And there were moguls on the ice.
Well, so... It sounds from talking to other states members that Victoria has the nicest ice facilities. We actually have rings
yes,
baked into our ice.
Painted into. We don't have to paint them each week.
We have rocks that have their own freezer, so you need the rocks to actually be cold so that they don't
melt into the ice.
Very good. Yes, so
I think our rink does also store all of their ice for drinks
yes.
in our freezer, which is sometimes suboptimal, but very Aussie, I think, as well, actually.
But the poor old Queenslanders have to draw their rings on each time they play.
Yeah. So that's a lovely rock.
Nice clutch of rocks there.
Very nice clutch of rocks.
And so we're up to the hammer.
So at this stage, Dustin's realised that he can't do much with that. He doesn't have a line in on anything. He's really trying to piff out that centre.
Hit and roll.
So he's looking to see whether he can just take the inside of his own yellow that's at the front. It's not counting. And managed to get the angle in.
He's looking at this hit and roll.
So I actually used to just think not a chance. And then Matt Panucci played this in Scotland when I had thought I'd messed up all my shots and really left my team with something like this.
He had to do a clown shot at the end?
Yeah, he did. And I did call it a clown shot. And he perfectly nailed it.
Okay.
And then, like, we said... You know, Gerald and I said, we knew you had it, Matt. I'm like, no, not. But so this is a very feasible shot for these elite, top-level curlers.
And what sort of weight do you think we're throwing at this?
Well, with that is in to out, he's throwing a rocket.
Ooh.
Because it actually curls more in to out. So if you throw down more the centre heading out of away from the centre line, actually curls a lot more than out to in, which stays a lot straighter. So he's going to be throwing a rocket ship at that. But let's see. Let's see what he's throwing.
Here it comes. Oh, it's got some heat on it.
It's got some heat.
Sweep!
You can take the outside of it if you did it, but they've really not taken enough ice.
Good try, though.
Good try.
One red.
All right.
Oh, I've got to figure out this thing again.
So we're going to do our technical stuff of working out what goes next. All right, let's just have a look at the other sheets while we're here, given it's a lot of quarterfinal playoffs going on here. So we've got sheet B. In fact, sheet B and D running a little bit slower, so they're only coming into the end of their second end. There's Andy Collins, who I'm declaring my bias for, as I'm married to him. Good on him. And also on his team is Coach Foley's husband, Brad. They're actually called ABBA because there's 2 Andrews and 2 Brads.
He looks like he's waving at us.
It looks like he's waving at us, but there's no communication allowed on and off the ice. He's really trying to
he's telling Brad he needs more
Brad
ice.
he needs more ice. So coming in on sheet C into the third end. So it's 2 up for Team Milliken. Johns. Oh, really. Steve and Hugh and whatever.
So it's a bit of an interesting lineup here, though. So generally the skip would play 4th rocks, but we've got Hugh in lead.
Yeah, that's the traditional lineup, but I think more and more people are realising that you just play to what your own abilities are, and these teams are less traditional than maybe some of the more traditional Canadian teams. So I think it's very aware that Tanner's been playing some beautiful rocks. Last year at the men's he was playing 3rd, I think, with Dean playing 4th rocks, but he played some beauties. So he's stepped up to playing 4th rocks this year, and I think he's doing a pretty nice job of it. So they're playing a bit aggressive, like in terms of just coming into the house, trying to make it more of a hitting game. That's been working for the Team Johns. They're just ignoring it because they don't want to make this a hitting game. They want to actually build an end and get a few points. So they're actually going to put up a corner guard. So they want something. Sometimes you don't draw behind your corner guard, but it's just nice in case you hit and roll. You've got something for it to roll behind.
I like it.
So it's a fairly traditional way to build an end. The only danger is that now he puts up another guard, centre guard there, and then the play just starts to move into the centre.
So I have a number of people that I talk to who aren't so familiar with curling, quite curious about the footwear. Do you wear ice skates?
So we need to train our AI. AI always, when we say picture of curlers, they have more than ice skates and
often hockey sticks.
Yeah, I think our umpires, Sandy and Rob, would start crying, and Reese, our ice maker, would just start crying if we brought ice skates anywhere near it. We cry on Melbourne ice because we have to. We only get it once a week and an evening, and it has skaters on it. We really don't want to be wrecking the quality of our ice surfaces.
And we often compare playing on ice skating ice as doing lawn bowls on the beach.
Yeah.
I'm going into the house with this one. Coming around the guard.
So you can see how much it's curling into out. They're going to wreck on that if they're not on it quick, but they just sneak that by. Just lovely. You know, they're trying to get to the T-line weight,
Kind of
sticking a bit wide. Yeah.
Cogged around at the end there. So, yeah, our shoes, we've got one that has some Teflon on the bottom of it to slide out, and people will generally put
How many rocks have been played
gripper
here?
over the top.
Must be something that I'm not seeing. I'm a little bit confused here because there's
Peeling this
not
guard?
4 rocks out.
Yeah, there is.
Oh, yeah, behind.
So they didn't like that guard, clearly.
No, so they're trying to bring things back to the centre, but he didn't obey the 5 rock rule, as I said. So I was saying there's only 4 rocks in play.
That was the 5th.
That was the 5th. So a newbie error by Hugh Milliken. One might say that he's going to go get his cognitive screening done pretty shortly.
Well, he hasn't been curling that long at all, has he?
No, I think
Just 100 or so years.
I think he's been curling for about 50 years. He's actually played well over, how many games is he up to? 450, I think, international game performances.
Amazing.
But apparently, and this is good news for all of us, that even after 450 international games, you can still fail to count the 5 rocks in play. This brings me joy because I'm just new to skipping, and sometimes I struggle with this as well. And
struggle to count.
It's good to see
rocks.
even our elite curlers are making these errors. So it's great. Actually, there's a bit of commentary online about that too. But, if you really want to hear some good banter, there's some great banter going on up here. But fortunately, not in the online version. So anyone that is in Naseby, feel free to come along upstairs. It's pumping. Come and support our local Naseby club.
And so what is the population of Naseby? Because I think
I don't
all
know,
of
but
the Australians
there's a
that descend.
Bridget Becker right next to me. Bridget, how many?
Come and give us some stats.
How many people live in Naseby?
Yeah.
So 105, according to our local expert, Bridget. And I'd say that when the Australian Curling Nationals comes here, we almost double the... No, we don't, but we certainly increase it by about
close.
50%. Yeah. Actually, we may double it. Anyway, we certainly put a lot of strain on the resources.
There's often a bit of a banana shortage.
Definite a banana shortage. You have to get your bananas on your way in.
Bananas are a favourite
I think
half-time
Nelson
snack.
and Janet and Hayden and our rink, they often do a little bit of a shop of fruit and stuff for us, a bit extras, because we've really just destroyed the local milk bar. Sure that locals hate it. So we've got Thomas throwing some really lovely rocks tonight. Just rolling out a little bit much. Need a little bit more curl on that.
Didn't quite stick that. Oh, no, it's still there.
So toe sliding versus flat foot. Like as a rheumatologist, I'm very much, let's just have a flat foot there. There's a little bit of data to say you put a little bit more strain through your knee with a tuck or a toe slide.
I think the toe slides do look cooler though.
They do look cool, I have to say. They're a little bit like, I reckon Tanner looks a little bit like, hidden tiger crouching.
Yeah.
What is it? Hidden...
Some sort of sliding ninja or something.
Hidden tiger crouching. That's the thing that, that fell out a bit actually.
Take out.
They're going to lose their own, but they'll get it. Yep, they're okay with that. So they really wanted to stick that.
So why are they sweeping around here? Cleaning their ice up?
Yeah, there's a little bit of stuff on the ice occasionally. So if they think there's anything in front, you don't want to have something get underneath your rock. It'll pick it, make it go a different direction than what's expected. You find that
people
this
will
is
often blame picks for shots that go a bit awry, though.
Absolutely. Right into. I actually, used to laugh at them, that blaming the rocks. Different rocks, and until I actually found one that actually was completely different, cutter. Different rocks have a little bit of different tendencies. They'll actually go and match. These guys will have all matched these rocks in practice, so made sure that their two rocks are running fairly true to each other.
I'm going to sweep that out. It stays in there.
Okay, so actually, if you look at this now, they call this the junior split. So they call it the junior split because it's a fairly safe and reasonable strategy to be playing when you just want to get two. They've basically split the house. They've kept them far enough apart from each other. It's hard to double the two of them out.
Yeah.
And you've got the centre easy for your last person to draw it to the button if they need to. So pretty sure Milliken's not happy that he's allowed this to play. He's going to be trying to bring his rock back to the centre, try and bring the two back together so that there's a chance. And really Dustin just wants to make sure that they stick, right? But ideally flop a bit out, not flop in. This works well, but you've just got to make sure that you've just got that 100% stats on the hit and flop. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to stick around.
And so where he's holding the broom...
Yeah, that's what he's aiming at. He hasn't given himself much ice there, but he's trying to just...
And it sort of depends what...
They're trying to direction it
weight
here. You can
you
see...
throw.
Oh, no, that's not a happy one.
Flashy,
so that's
flashy.
not what you wanted. So, and I think that's it's just the zone of trying. You can see that Dustin actually didn't give very much ice there. So he really was trying to let the sweepers hold it by sweeping it straight. But all players, they're all a little bit different. And unfortunately, we're Australian curlers, we often come together here and the skip has to get his eye in the game of each of the different sets. So they'll often just have a little bit of a set out and that might not come back on the straight spots. So even on really nice ice like this, you'll still see that there's little quirks of the ice. There's little straight spots on there. You got a thing. There's sometimes a tiny fall out to the walls on the side, much more pronounced on sheet A and D. But even sheet B and C will have a little quirk, like straight spots and sometimes a little fall to the wall. So I think they were a victim of that.
Yes. I'm going to take out that back yellow.
Yeah. So they're just trying to remove play. They're trying to force it, which means they're just trying to keep them to one. Obviously, Dustin's still got a draw there to the button. So Dustin's about to play the first of his 2 rocks. He's got a few options. He's looking at whether he just hits that and just rolls in front, to hopefully then wreck. But he's not going that. I think he's going a draw, maybe. Do you reckon that's a draw behind the guard? Just trying to work out what his ice is.
Either that or it's a very heavy hit.
What a way to travel. Sure. It's sort of interesting. So you have to just place the rock that you're happy to play with. Got to be really happy that you can hit and stick if on your next shot if you're playing
hello,
this.
puppy.
Cute puppies in the rings.
Ring puppy.
Janet's puppies. Very cute. Sorry, we're having a puppy moment.
I get distracted by puppies.
Okay. See how straight that stayed?
Yes.
Yeah. So Dustin's
So
now
that was
called
a fairly
the straight.
low weight hit.
Yeah, he's now called the straight spot, which is
Figured
about
it
learning.
out.
But it's about learning it because sometimes you play it, you just assume that your player didn't play the shot well. It's just trusting that in fact the ice is running a bit straight in that location and learning from it. That can be the make or break of a team. You can see that Hugh here has also learnt this lesson. They're giving very little ice. He's giving a little bit less actually than Dustin gave himself. So we'll see, but he'll know that Tanner has a different release. I think he's going to roll out.
Looking a bit wide.
I think he maybe... No, it's coming in. Yeah, he doesn't want to roll out. So it's just a nice final rock for Team Armstrong. So Dustin really just has to get to the 8. So unfortunately, what an annoying thing, right? They still use feet.
Yes.
Metric is something that hasn't come to curling, and I think with the spirit and traditions of curling, it never will. So
the Blues, the 12-foot.
I think actually, do you know what? I think it differs according to the Kiwis versus the Aussies, because I think they call, which I think they're correct and we're incorrect, but probably shouldn't say that online. But so we often say the Reds are 4 and then the 8 and then the 12, but I think they say 2. 8 and 12, but we're going to have to. We'd have to ask our correspondent next by. But yeah, we do have to unfortunately use the term feet, which is pretty funny because in juniors they don't even know what a foot is, so they've actually just learnt the terminology of it according to what it is on the rings and don't actually think of it as a measurement. So they're pretty happy there. That's very
but
happily
often
in there,
these
Dustin.
shots are sort of fairly high pressure, trying to.
Yeah. So 1 to yellow. I think we're on the changeover. So pretty close game here on sheet C. So we're 2-1. 2-1 up with Team Johns, but they're now coming in with hammer to the fourth end. If we just take this moment to look at the other sheets we've got on sheet A we haven't talked about tonight. So sheet A is pretty exciting. We've got team, it is Gagnon. I haven't actually looked at the names, but we've got Ian, Clive, Bruce and Ash playing a new team on the block, who are the Curlews. I'm actually most excited about the Curlews because they are amazing. It's their first tournament here. They're playing some ripper shots.
And they have cool curlews on their shirt.
They have the best curlews on their shirt. Who even knew?
And they've been sponsored by a herd of cows.
They have indeed. They got 3 cows donated to the team, which has paid for their flights of their team to make it over, because as we've just said, no curling ice in Australia. We do need to find funds to get ourselves here. So big shout out to their sponsor for them. I actually think being sponsored by cows is pretty cool, though, I have to say. I might get sponsored by 3 guinea pigs or something, but it wouldn't get me very far. All right, so Hugh Milliken coming in here. There's a centre guard. The centre guard is not over the centre line, so they could actually tick that if they wanted to across, but they can't take it out of play.
Now, Hugh has a bit of a different backswing to most.
God, Hugh has a different delivery to most people. And I think he's an example of just muscle memory, like it's just how he's been throwing for years.
I think that's sort of quite an older way of kind of swinging the rock up.
And they used to, in the old days, actually just take the whole rock off the ice and then just hammer back in.
Steve does the same thing, doesn't he?
He does indeed. Steve is no longer the young man that we... But his daughter actually is here this tournament as well, Veronica Johns. She's playing very well. She's on one of the teams with the Mothers of the Olympians. A lot of fun, and he's going to stay around to play mixed doubles with her dad.
Daddy-daughter mixed doubles.
Yeah, we've got a few daddy-daughter combos coming up shortly. We've got Hugh Milliken with Carly Milliken. We've got Steve and Veronica. I don't think there's any other...
There's going to be an exciting first game against the current Olympians and Coach Foley and Brad Patterson combo, which will be our first official
their first ever game of mixed doubles in a national event, and they're playing our Olympic hopefuls. So probably not the game to watch. All right.
So why has he stuck his arm out?
So he's meaning it needs to come.
So this is a bit of an example of some directional sweeping here. We're trying to curl
he's
it in.
taking the outer edge of it.
Yeah.
And Steve's not overly happy with that, but actually that was the best they could do with it in terms of the communication. There's often a plan B.
It's a bit of a death rock there.
Harm minimisation. A little bit of a chit-chat between Hugh and Steve there about that shot. Team certainly has excellent communication in terms of sweeping calls and dealing with what they have to do with. Here comes Thomas. He's been throwing some very nice rocks.
And they do seem to have jumped on that pretty quickly.
And the problem with jumping on it early, not that there's a problem in this case, but is that you do keep it straighter if you sweep it heavily before the break. Okay, so they're really chalking up the centre here. Dustin's pretty happy with that. Pretty impressive that these juniors that we've got now, they're not from Canada or Scotland, all these places. They're homegrown and homegrown on ice that is ice skating rinks. So we teach a lot of the the basics there, and then they get to come to places like this. And World Curling put on a lot of amazing courses and programs for juniors, such as the Norway camp. It's where my eldest learnt to curl, actually. And but it's nice that our kids are all being able to play, and it's interesting to see that all our juniors at the moment are coming from the places where there actually is curling ice. So another reason why we should have it. That's
lovely.
a lovely.
Taken out both of those yellow guards.
I was just trying to clear up the front a bit.
You've got quite the curling pedigree going on. Both of your sons are coming into
They
the
have got into
juniors
it. I don't think they
competition.
really meant to, but it's. I think they were after an extra boy at one stage to go to a thing when we didn't have a juniors league going. We had no competitions happening, and this is our first ever year. It's going to be both a junior men's, junior women's, and junior mixed doubles competition in Naseby.
Very exciting.
Preceded by a juniors camp that our Kiwi colleagues very kindly invite us to. So lots of trans-Tasman friendships and communication going on here.
You've done a lot of hard work raising the profile of the
They've
juniors.
been doing really great things. So Dustin's just pointing where he wants it. He wants it counting. Doesn't want it deep. Wants it buried in there, so you can see them just finishing that off to just try and hide it round in the centre.
And you can get quite a lot of...
Get quite a lot of curl in that last little moment. You don't back off.
and quite often yells quite loudly at me to finish it.
Finish it! Bit of a shouter. Bit of a yeller. I'm not sure how much feed you guys have from the ice there, but these boys don't tend to skip particularly quietly.
I think there should be some decibel warnings when you're on a sheet next to Hugh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So Hugh is often heard yelling hurry and hurry hard, which is sort of a Canadian type call for sweep.
Yep. He's peeled that nicely. Tipped it. He's okay with that, even though it's still there, just because he's just really trying to clear that front. So it's going to have to be a real line placement of where Dustin wants to place it to try and protect those rocks there.
He wants to put in another guard. Guard is
Gotta be
good.
careful it's not, doesn't allow a double on that inside of the. Oh, heavy rock there.
We're not sweeping that.
No. Oh. I'm looking on the other sheet. I got distracted by our husbands. Got to pay attention back here.
How are they going?
We gave them a great halftime coaching session where we were apparently told by Reese the Ice Maker that it was a severe batch of nagging.
We nagged
But it
them
did
into
work.
submission.
It did work, so we're owning it. Takes all types of coaching. Alrighty. So I think this has opened it up for, given that the guards are sitting a little bit out from that centre line.
For a smashy.
I think Hughes feels pretty comfortable. He can just get a nice hit and roll. Probably take both out.
Get a nice double.
He can throw as much weight as he likes at this, really. I can think he can see most, if not all, of that rock. He's not throwing huge weight at it, but it comes in to out, so we've just discussed that can really roll once it gets off that centre line. It can be a tricky spot to play because if you set it in, it takes a while to come back. Here it comes. As it comes off the centre line. Oh, nice.
Got the double.
Beautiful rock.
Perfect.
Beautiful rock.
Bravo. Chef kiss on that one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So Steve actually threatened me quite severely with not telling Steve stories. So I think
what can you drag up?
Quite a lot of stories. He was threatening some stories, backstories, but I think maybe N6 might be the time to
trot those out.
Start to trot some of these babies out.
So stay tuned, listeners.
I think once we get past the fourth end, our president, Laurie, will actually not the president now, but whatever we are nowadays, with our restructure of our Curling Australia. She might have got bored of our banter and gone to bed. We might get to the serious...
The juicy stuff.
Oh, Derek nearly took a stumble over.
Oy.
You might have to give medical attention there.
Dr. Anne.
I think a lot of the injuries happen with the enthusiastic sweeping. It's there's a lot of gifs of people stacking, including myself. Thanks for that.
Anne actually got swept out of the way after she...
Gerald Chick, ex-junior champion, and
my lovely husband made a gif out of it for everyone's amusement.
But fortunately, we didn't burn the rock,
no.
Thanks to Gerald's quick thinking and sweeping of me off the rock. Also makes quite a nice gif. Thanks, Gerald. Oh, I lost the handle on the other sheet. Sorry. I'm not paying attention. That's actually not been the best for them. Anyway, back to the game at hand. You'll have to keep forgiving me to paying attention to the sheets over.
Well, we're technically supposed to be coaching this other sheet. So.
I know. We do occasionally look across.
The scores are tied.
It is a masterclass on the fact that you should give a little bit of handle. So should we explain for the non-curlers what that means? Yes. So curling is obviously curling, and you don't just deliver it straight down. You can see that the rock is spinning as it comes down the ice.
So when the people delivering the rock let go of it, they will turn
either clockwise or counterclockwise. Yeah. And usually you'd sort of be getting, anywhere between 3 to 5 turns between hog to hog.
Yep.
People like Hugh Milliken put a lot more on it, and that tends to, a lot more spins on it, and that tends to keep it a bit straighter.
The helicopter rock.
We can see that some of the boys that maybe we are potentially coaching probably quite poorly at the moment. They aren't putting enough handle on, so they're only really spinning at one rock, and it can often lose handle. And then if it loses handle, it'll just go any old direction. So it's quite important to get enough of that spin. People have been playing on club ice. They don't need to put quite as much on, and they can often get lazy. Yeah, what we call a lazy handle. It's not talking about the individual, it's just meaning that the rock's a little bit at risk there. Particularly if you're sweeping in the opposite direction on it, you can actually make it completely lose its handle.
Nice rock.
Right
on the button.
They really wanted that to be sitting on the corner freeze of that. Because they're going to come and try and they take the so sometimes when they put the broom down, you just got to try and work out what weight are they talking. So he's actually indicating that backline weight. With that ice, he's probably just trying to sit either a nose
pulling
hit.
Out a stopwatch there.
Yeah, a nose hit or just slightly inside, but on the outside would not be as ideal.
On the inside of it. You didn't like stopwatches.
Oh, no, you just can't time Hughes rocks with a stopwatch. It's like completely. The person that can call Hughes rock amazingly is Steve Johns, but they've been playing together for decades, ever since I think Hugh
was invented.
Since I think Hugh gave him a job in Australia so he would have some curling buddies to play with. So that's very close, nice. Yeah, lovely rock.
Pop that one out.
Yeah. It wasn't much margin for error on that one.
No, this is looking like a very dangerous house here.
This is looking like a very dangerous house for Dustin.
Well, that's doubleable, right?
He needs to stick.
Okay. Those shirts are disturbing, though.
I like them. We're not particularly renowned for our benign shirt designs, though, ourselves. So.
No. I don't know if you can see sheet B, but there's some psychedelic coloured shirts over there.
There's a new rule. I think it came in about 2 years ago, where we now expect our nationals teams to have uniforms. It makes things a lot easier for our umpires. And we do like to keep things very happy for our umpires. But actually, the people have just really put a lot of effort into these uniforms. They've embraced it.
The uniform
embraced
code.
It. I'm a little bit bored by Team Johns as black.
Yes.
I'm very bored. It's almost like they're from Melbourne.
Got new blood.
But I think most of the other teams have got some rippers. We do like the curlies. Love those. Love those little birdies. Let's try to line up. They've taken a bit of time on this.
I can hear from the peanut gallery that there's talk of a triple here.
Dustin does love a good triple.
You're throwing some heat at it.
It is there.
Mm-hmm. There's quite a lot of physics and angles and things.
Yeah, look, I think at the very least he wants to just remove some rock.
Get rid of some granite.
Yeah. Got a question online. Did John score 2 in the second end? No, he did not. Just a 1. So it's just been
keeping it close.
Keeping it close. There's been no multi-score ends to date. It's been 1-1-1.
Got the rocket.
It's going to move something. Oh,
not quite.
So they're going to have a draw for 2. I think we put the wrong score up on the thing.
Oh, sorry.
Soz to those online. They are correct. We're pretty crap with our scoring things. It is 1-1 in the first 2 ends and then 1 in the third end. And this is coming into the fourth end with the score 2-1 to Johns versus Armstrong. And this is, however, looking very promising for a 2. The very least a 1. So quite a lot of ice there. She's got to have that curling. Looks like it's coming now. Yeah, so that's looking pretty sweet.
A shout out to Brad Scott, who has been spending a lot of his time figuring out all of this technology and done a great job getting all the houses in view. And sorry, I missed what happened there.
Apparently I'm getting requests to give more beep to Hugh.
Okay.
Yep. And also thanks to Vaughan for saying that toe sliding is like a telemark turn. Just for the record, it's not. It's the wrong foot that's up on the toe. So, but, for a bit of steel. And so we're now coming into the end of the fourth end. So we get a how many minutes? 5 minutes break. Fiona's trying to fix the scoreboard.
No, I fixed
there.
it. I just didn't see what happened.
Was it
2 for
Team Johns. Tanner just nice draw at the end. So the score should be showing 4-1. 4 to Team Johns and 1 to Team Armstrong.
Okay, I seem to have stuffed this up again.
Huh. Technology.
Why does it keep doing that? All right, I think that's right.
So it's pretty exciting still on the other sheets. Let's just go to in our half end of the fourth end break on sheet C. Let's just turn our attentions to the other sheets. I think sheet A is probably wrapping up at the moment with the more experienced Team Gagnon chalking up quite a few numbers there. But the Curlews are continuing to learn heaps and look like they're having a ball out there, actually.
Yes, got a score of 9-0.
I want to be their supporters. They look super fun. Sheet B, we've just got Andy Collins throwing his second last rock for the fourth end. Looks a bit narrow, if I may say so myself.
We're tied up at 2-all.
It's 2-all with Hammer going to Team Collins. Fortunately for Team Collins, they're sitting the 3 closest rocks in the house.
Woot.
And
it must be the excellent coaching they've received.
Must be. So Phil Goshnick, experienced Queenslander, who some may know from his unorthodox commentary
about pies.
We've actually been conscientious objectors to food talk. Clearly, the boys want to talk food. They can do all the cooking this week.
Well, I think the commentary last year, my husband got on to commentate one of our games and spoke mostly about
what he was cooking.
For dinner. And there was a lot of interest in his risotto.
There was quite a lot. Bridget did ask whether we were actually running a food commentary session.
It's a cooking show.
So Phil has just thrown that a little bit heavy. They're going for the back rock. Ticking. Now don't let this fool you though, because Andy has actually managed to promote other people's rocks in the house before.
Yes.
That's a very good Melbourne Aussie thing to do. Very comrade. But he's chosen the correct side of the ice thanks to Brad giving him the ice.
Brad doing some excellent vice skipping.
Some very vice skipping there from.
And we haven't talked about sheet D. It's looking like a close
game. So sheet D's just moved into their half end, end of fourth end break.
We've got Team Cats, which is a fairly new team.
Yep, Team Cats.
And Team...
Is that Roz's?
Team Roz.
Team Roz. And
score of 1-2.
Don't know what was just scored there in the fourth end, unfortunately. So we'll have to wait till the umpires go and pop a score up on that. But clearly also a very close game happening over there. So sheet B and D are actually neck and neck. Sheet C is just, Team Johns has just brought their team up a bit. But it's anyone's game still with the scoreboard of 4-1.
Exciting.
Andy managed to put a perfect guard in. No, sorry, Andy. Apparently I just broke the rules of commentating, but, Andy's divorce lawyer can take that to...
Sorry, Andy.
He did take a 3, though. So I think Brad wants to, B1 wants to potentially... take out my husband, which is totally fine. It's all in the camaraderie and spirit of curling. So we're actually back on the ice again on sheet C. That was a quick 5-minute turnaround for the those men with not as good bladder control to have their little bathroom break.
Prostate pee.
Yep. They've been talk about do they need a half end break, and I think when you've got people like Hugh Milliken still contributing to rules and regulations, there will always be a fourth end break.
That's a little on the heavy side.
So often after a fourth end break, and particularly with everyone off the ice, it can really slow down, keen up.
So you can kind of overcompensate.
Yeah, but in this case, it did not seem to be the case. So I wonder whether Hugh was catering on it, having frosted up a bit, gave it a little bit extra. He was clearly trying to be in the top 4. I don't think he was trying to play a guard, but I think it was just, and from his perspective, he's happy not to...
We've been given a chef kiss by Brad Scott on our excellent...
I think he's fixing our scoreboard.
No. We had some complaints because I hadn't been doing it quite right, but figured it out now.
No, we're all good. All right, so Carly Milliken on board, cheering on her dad. That's pretty good of you, Carly. Pretty sure my son's not online cheering on his dad, so, you get bonus points, mate. I'll just put in a special word there that... in this one a little bit deeper, but that's all right. They really just want to make this a hitty game.
So they're up by a few. They must be
not a lot.
No.
The scoreboard's now just being adjusted by. Oh, we can see sheet D was actually the score's 1-3, so still pretty close on that one. All right, so we've got Derek having...
and we can see Rob sitting down the end there. So
Rob is sitting down there looking
shout out
cold.
to Rob. Yes. It is pretty cold in here. It's like playing in a freezer.
That was a very nice rock there by Derek. I think he's feeling pretty happy about that one. I would too. I think there's always a bit of a sigh of relief when you know your hit hasn't completely gone AWOL.
Yes, it is a bit disappointing when you flash a hit.
Flashy.
Flashy.
So Matt's giving
not
a little bit of
that,
he's
ice.
changed the call a bit. I think it was the
Do you want it to throw a different handle?
Yeah, I personally don't. I find it really hard skipping over that centre line here. So calling the ice as well. So it just tends to, once it crosses the centre line, it really goes, which it's now going. But I think Matt's called it well.
Yep.
Not quite. Ooh. Just much harder to call those, I think, as skip, but... Still leaves them a hard one because once again they're doing the in to out, which I always... No, he's taking the out to in. Makes sense. He's got plenty of room around that guard. So he's doing control weight. Thomas. No, they've changed that up. They still want control, but they've remembered that it's the straight spot.
And that's the tummy pat.
So tummy pad is control weight. Interesting though, whether the straight spot's that narrow or whether it's a little bit further out, but we're about to find out from Thomas's shot. He actually popped that wide though, quite a long way wide. They're actually going to tick on their guard. They can skinny it, might get a plan B, but unfortunately that's probably not what they wanted.
Not ideal.
So you want to really keep your corner guards in if you can, if you're trying to get some numbers up.
It can be hard on those sort of wider shots to stay online though, can't it?
Well, I think he just popped it out and then it wasn't going to come back on the straight spot. Correct call. All look good. Just not much forgiving. When you throw those high weights, there's not a lot of stuff that the sweepers can do. And on these straight spots, it doesn't really come back. So Matt's back to having thrown a hit, and now he has to just bring his weight back down to a draw. That's often one of the hardest things when people start to play at a higher level, is being able to adjust their weight rapidly. When I first started doing this, I tend to always overthrow my draw after I'd thrown a hit. So that looks tight on that guard. I think they're already on it, which Hugh's already on. And so
called a plan B there.
They've called the plan B to try and curl it, so they're just trying to tap it, but I think they're just going to going to try and cover the other.
Nice.
I don't think he'll be overly happy with that. But
that's a double opportunity.
they're just going to sit on it.
Okay.
Got lots of backing, and then if they can sit on that, it's hard for Hugh to remove, then that gives them time to wander over and throw another one in on the other side. Or just keep chocking him up on that side.
Mm-hmm. So yes, this is the end of our round robin.
It is. This is the last. The draw 7, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Been a great little tournament, actually.
It has. And probably the most number of women's teams we've had.
Yeah.
Which is exciting. Oh, nice shot. Bit of a freeze there.
Yeah, so they're just going to take that out now because they didn't get the freeze on. Hugh doesn't really care if he forces. That's probably what he's going in for with a scoreboard of 4-1. So he just wants to remove rock.
Get it out.
It's got to come. Here it comes. Yep, so they're on it to keep it straight. It's actually really nice. I'm going to piff that out without losing any of their reds.
Beautiful. Nice little clutch there.
So they're making it really hard for Dustin at this stage because he's playing a dangerous game because he keeps chucking those up. They're not moving. And then if they do that, then he has to draw it to the button, and that other red is very disturbingly in his way.
He wants to sit on top of those.
He obviously thinks that some people are much more comfortable setting themselves up as, last thrower. These skips that are throwing last rocks are very much more aggressive play. I think when you're not skipping and playing fourth rocks, you tend to want to maybe set your team up with something a little bit easier.
Although a good hero shot is...
well, it's worthy in the peanut gallery. I'm right into those.
Bit heavy on that one.
Oh yeah, so now we're running into a whole heap of trouble here for Team Armstrong. They really needed to be sitting up on top of that stack, or it's going to be no hit on this once these guys. So they're holding up fingers.
4 fingers.
So for those that don't know what the numbers are that they're holding up, so Steve Johns was holding up 4. That means that he's asking Hugh whether he wants it to be biting the tops of the rings. So if it was 3, that's a guard.
There's different zones of the sheet. So
7 is
1 to 10. 1 being quite close to the hog line.
That looks like it needs to go a long way over. So it's whether the sweeping can bring that all the way over the centre line. But at the moment, it is... Oh, look at that go. That is great sweeping. Wish I had that on my team.
Bravo. Hey! Rude.
That's fantastic sweeping by Tanner and Matt.
And that was pretty much a 4.
That was a 4. I'm loving it. Beautiful line. Look at that. Super sweet.
Making it even more challenging for Team Armstrong.
Getting a bit of hate mail from my team. My sweepers heard that. Love my sweepers.
Some angry Graham.
My sweepers have saved most of my shots. We always adore the sweeper.
And it is quite a team effort, isn't it?
Oh my God, yeah. This is not a, I always say to people, they say, isn't it just like lawn bowls? And I said, well, it's like lawn bowls if you could change the shot after you've thrown it.
Yes.
Curling is very much a team effort of all 4 players contributing to that end product.
On to our skips rocks now.
Okay, so this is the first of Tanner's rocks. Can't see the overhead at this stage to see exactly what's happening with those back yellows, but you guys online can and be more educated on this than us. So clearly Hugh is just guarding it up at the moment. So
wide.
There they go. That's more than a 4. They're going to plan B at this stage, which is a lovely plan B.
Very nice.
So they are actually at the back of the button, so it does allow Dustin to come in and sit in that little pocket.
The crotch.
I was being so good at not saying the crotch, but okay, fine.
I think we've been very well behaved.
I think we've been so well behaved. We're nearly up to the 6th end, folks, don't worry. We're about to get into the proper commentary at that stage. So we've all had to do integrity modules, which means that I wasn't actually able to ask the boys to give me money to stop bagging them on the commentary box. So we've been very well behaved. And a huge shout out to our integrity officer for Curling Australia. I've temporarily forgotten her name. I think Catherine. Anyway, so for just trying to build up our sport and
keeping us all in
keeping
line.
us in line and keeping it as a well recognised and safe and inclusive sport.
And curling is quite a sort of, it's interesting that it's sort of governed by the spirit of curling. There's a lot of, I want to say gentlemanly, but that's not very kind of...
it's quite interesting. We were explaining to the juniors what the spirit of curling was, and they just looked blankly at us, and then they translated as "don't be a dick."
Yep.
So I actually like that definition, actually. I use that quite a lot. Don't be a dick. And I think actually we've been seeing a lot of the spirit of curling here this year. I've been pretty happy with it. That's a lovely
Nice
rock by Dustin. He'll be very happy with that. Throwing a lovely rock there. Which I suppose we have our Spirit of Curling Awards coming up.
Yes.
With both men's and women's competitions. So we could rename that, instead of the Spirit of Curling Award, the Don't Be a Dick Award. A very, very prestigious award. Actually, Brad Scott won that from the Spirit of Curling Men's, I thought, last year. Did an outstanding job. I would have nominated him this year, but we're pretty sure you can't win it 2 years running. No. Although really he deserves it for his long hours that he's been in here. But a lot of
Carolyn Swan winning.
Carolyn Swan was the
year.
women's. She has been doing an outstanding job. She's currently playing on sheet D, but she's the secretary of Curling Australia. Does a most amazing job and played in her first international ever competition in Canada just recently in the seniors. Doing very well. So playing with Helen Williams, Kim Irving, and Adrian. So they did such a great job representing Australia at the seniors.
It's always exciting to get to represent your country.
Absolutely. So there's a little bit of an opportunity, I think. Not that I can see down from here, but I think he can actually sit it in there and get 2. Just has to hit on the inside of that red. He's looking to see whether it's possible. I think he can. He can do a little chip. He seems to think he can too.
This is looking very mixed doubly.
It's looking very mixed doubly, isn't it?
It's a tippy-tappy.
Tippy, tippy, tippy.
Bit of discussion here.
Quite a long discussion. It's so when you play internationally, you get your own clock. So not a communal clock, which is what we're playing here to try and speed up the gameplay and make it more realistic for international. You get your own game clock, much like playing chess.
Oh, yes.
And
Do you press the button?
You don't. Yes. Oh, they do.
Your move.
The problem with that, I suppose, is just the sheer number of volunteers that you'd need. And we just don't have that volunteer base. If we obviously had curling ice in Australia, I think we'd be able to pull that and bring it much up to international standards. So once again, for the politicians online, a little bit of curling ice there in Australia, remembering that it can't be ice skating ice, it really needs to be dedicated curling ice.
So what is it about the curling ice, having the ice maker behind me here?
Well, one, we need Reese. We need Reese. Because, he's a gentleman. He's a gentleman. We've already talked about the nagging quote from Reese.
So you obviously have a slab of ice.
You flood it. It's pretty flat.
Yep.
Like not ice skating where it actually wears around the outside as people go round and round and round.
And then you essentially take a shower head, right?
Yeah.
And in a
delicate
dance, you spray.
Yeah, you just spray it up and down.
Droplets of water. It's hot water, isn't it?
Warm water. Just warm, not hot. And then that sits on top and freezes and forms a little pebble.
And then they take a nipper
and they give it a little nip.
And
speed it up a bit.
And it's a very precise process. So they kind of get shavings of ice and weigh it to.
I heard that someone did their weighing in a beer can.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
That's the spirit of curling,
spirit
right
of curling right there. Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
All right, Dustin's coming down. He's trying to chip that inside of that red to sit too.
Can he do it?
Can he do it?
It's exciting. There's a
lot
of
the
yelling
line
going
is really
on.
important. I think he might need to have a bit more sweep in there. Oh.
How did we go?
I don't know.
There's
we can't see. We can't see, guys. You need to look at the TV screen.
One yellow?
We're waiting. Oh, here, Rob's right onto the crowd pleaser. One red.
Ooh.
One red. All right, there we go. That was... now this is a good. We're getting a bit of objections to our commentary. Gary Tapp says less of the tippy-tappy jokes. Gary, you know that you're just heckling us here, mate. So it's really good to see our curlers online here heckling us back. Gary's a champion. He was on our curling league for quite a long years. Gary, I don't know how long. Gazza, yeah. Gary, you were there for, I don't know. And then he reneged and went and lived overseas, but still came and supported his Aussie crew when we were out in Aberdeen. I'm not really going to replicate that big fingers signal there by Dustin, but he's right. He only just missed that shot. It could have been a ripper. And I think he had to go for it. So really nice. Really nice competitive play we're seeing here on Sheet C.
Team John's just proving a bit hard to deal with.
So they're obviously going into the house, so they don't want any guards up front, right? Because they've got quite a nice head start coming into the sixth end here. There's only 8 ends in a game here. If you go and play internationally, actually the men's and women's is 10 ends. But seriously, Sandy and Rob can't be there all day umpiring us, so I reckon it's pretty fine that we're playing 8. You have to play a minimum of 6, regardless of the scoreline.
But you can shake on the 6th.
You can shake on the 6th if you feel that you're done and haven't got a real chance of coming, but you are allowed to continue playing up until the 8 as long as you're still feasible that you could win.
If it's mathematically possible for you to win.
So he's trying to get he's trying to take that corner guard as tight as he can to the rings without going in, because he knows if he went in, then Hugh was just going to hit it. Hugh wants to keep this as clean as he possibly can. Clean meaning minimal rocks in play. Certainly minimal rocks at the front of the house.
Looking a little heavy for a guard, but slowing.
And they're asking for the guard. I wonder if they're going for the freeze as their plan B. No, they didn't decide that one early enough.
Brought it into the house.
So Dustin's still ignoring it because, so if this was obviously in the first or second end, Dustin wouldn't be ignoring that. But he needs to actually get a few points in play. He's got hammer for 2 of, as long as there's no stealing on board, he's got the hammer for the 6th and the 8th in. So, if you got 2 on this one, then he brings it back in.
Doesn't have to panic. Come back from here.
Looks that's very tight to the guard there. I'd be a bit anxious about that. I think they're going a double guard now.
It's a bit aggressive.
No, they weren't going for that shot.
Okay.
Yeah. Plan B. They didn't want to tip it over and make it a centre guard, so that's why they just got off it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So Gary Tabnow is threatening me with the photos that we had in Aberdeen that can't be posted. Thanks for that, Gary. And we're going to respectfully say that Gary is the best curler I've ever seen in my entire life.
What happens in Aberdeen
stays in Aberdeen. Stay well, Gary.
we're muting that now.
It's interesting.
Right in that button area.
They're just making life really unpleasant for Dustin, really.
Poor Dusty.
It's just, whew. I've been in this situation well too many times, and I really empathise for him. But having said that, he's got his corner guard up there. It's still early in the end.
It's quite a pleasing arc these rocks are making.
It is quite pleasing from an aesthetic perspective. Probably
the feng shui is excellent here.
I think Dustin's finding it less feng shui. So that's looking like Dustin's trying to call the line on that. They've left it pretty late. I'm thinking he's thinking it has more weight than it does, because it's really not going to where he asked for it to be. But anyway, it's a bit of a late sweep there. Actually, okay. Interesting.
Little freeze.
Nope. He looks like he's doing a... I think they just want to pick it out, actually. They're going to pick it out. So they're going to try and just tip the inside of that yellow. Pick it out. They'll lose their shooter. They don't care. Got enough rocks in play.
So often when they're frozen together, they're kind of harder to move, right?
This will be a normal arc. It's on the other side of the centre line. Once it comes off that centre line, it's really tricky. But it's got to come off the centre line.
Rock.
Nice rock. Very nice shot. The peanut gallery has gone off upstairs.
Everyone's still keeping their cool?
They're absolutely keeping their cool. There's no panic happening here.
No.
Remembering that these teams are just going up against each other again regardless in the quarterfinals. It really, the outcome of this game actually depends on who gets hammer.
In the next
one, in the quarterfinal. So, and then the winner of the quarterfinal goes direct to the finals.
Mm-hmm.
And why weren't you sweeping that? I don't know. There was a little bit of commentary on the side there that got me excited. I think just hard when you're a new team, understanding your lines and getting onto that sweeping early enough to get the ticks.
So we've got quarterfinal and semi-finals tomorrow.
Yeah, so those that if you are playing in it's 1-2 plays each other and 3-4 plays each other. So the winner of 1-2 goes directly to final. The loser of 1-2 goes to the semi-final.
Who will play the winner of 3-4.
Yeah, so the 3-4 game tomorrow morning is an elimination final. So if you lose that, you come fourth.
And then day after tomorrow, we're into finals.
Yeah, and once we get to
the
finals,
best of three.
It's best of three, actually. And once again, none of the games in the previous count, just purely based on the best of the three. Although if you come in best ranked, you do get the hammer.
Which is always nice.
So lovely Spirit of Curling showing on sheet D. There was a little bit of an unfortunate, kick of a rock, and they've immediately called it. And Spirit of Curling, they've just allowed it to be where they thought it would be. So
very nice.
Very nice.
Collegial.
A little bit heavy, that one on sheet B.
Are you trying to just bundle some more in the house here, or? Are we doing some guard removal? Oh, no, it's coming in.
Yeah, just wants it in the top 8, I think. It's going to be curl a little bit further than what Hugh wanted.
Bit light.
Yeah, just a little bit out. So a lot of people ask that Oh Knowing was a different sheet, by the way. No one was criticising what was happening on sheet C there. People were just a bit... people feel for these teams when they do these shots that unfortunately take themselves out, which is something we've all done and we all empathise with, and... a lot of emotional support from the peanut gallery for when that happens. Still keeping a little bit of an eye on Team Roz over there because she does a Roz special.
She had a cracker this afternoon.
She had a cracker against us through the port. And no, Roz Gallagher, she just does these amazing shots. This looks like a lovely...
Oh, not quite the double.
Just missed the double.
Just kissed it.
And did give it a little bit of a nudging. So, here's the question for the audience. Where does curling originate?
There is a little bit of, some people think Scotland, some people think Canada.
So I don't think anyone ever thinks it was Canada.
Oh.
But certainly
Canada sort of embraced it wholeheartedly.
They did. One might wonder if it's just simply because, in the northern reaches of Saskatchewan,
it's
very cold.
There's nothing else to do.
Potentially. There is ice skating,
but
maybe if you don't want to take off someone's head, curling is the sport for you in Canada. I gather that there's more curlers in Canada than the rest of the world combined, but that might be changing now because Asia has really embraced it as well. There's a lot of high-level curlers coming out of China, Korea, Japan. Pretty impressive stuff. So I think it's starting to slowly even up. I think the main problem for most countries has been rinks.
Yeah.
And I know that, World Curling has been pretty keen on trying to encourage people to have rinks. So if you have any big sponsors, they can assist with ice makers and a lot of other things there.
And it would be an excellent philanthropic...
So Amanda's calling line for Sheet C at the moment. Well
Yes.
done.
Oh, that's a nice shot from Team Armstrong there.
That was a very nice shot. He's really done that corner freeze. He didn't want it tapping off it. He really wanted it just to be frozen right on it. So Hugh's going to try and unseat it. So he's just going to try and just give it a tapping so that...
But
But
curling
Tanner's
started
disagreeing.
on kind of lakes and stuff.
It did,
didn't it?
outside.
Frozen lakes.
Yeah. And then they had... really, we don't know anything about the history of
No.
curling, but we're having
We
a good
can
time.
make some
We'll
up.
just make some crap up, right? But what we do know is that nowadays most of the elite rocks are coming out of a single quarry out off the coast of Scotland. And I gather it's got, it's a bit of the equivalent of the Australian National Park.
Oh, yes.
Protected, but they need to quarry it, so they actually got special permission to go in and quarry it.
They take a big core,
They do.
and it's two types of granite. There's
There
a
are.
different type on the
Yeah.
bottom.
So it's actually a inner circle, which is the one that touches the ice, and that's a softer type granite. And then there's the ring around it, which is a much harder granite, so that when you do smashy 6-second peels like these guys are doing at times, the rock doesn't fall apart. I gather they did try some different quarries. They did try some other quarries, and they actually just fell apart when they did the smashies. So
So they're quite expensive, these rocks.
they are quite expensive. And no, we don't travel with our rocks.
No,
For those
that-
watching the
Would-
game,
that
they
would,
stay
be
with the rink.
some excess baggage
That's
there.
like, what is it,
I
20
think-
kilograms
I
or
think
something?
travelling with brooms is awkward
bad
enough.
yeah. And remembering that for those that have been Qantased in the past, you always travel to all competitions with your curling shoes in your hand luggage.
Yes.
And just be aware that we tend to travel with our brooms in PVC piping. We
So
turned up to a game in Pan Pacifics in Shanghai, and Qantas had very kindly decided to half our size of our brooms. So I think
Well,
you
and-
have to be prepared when we're international curlers, and given our nationals is overseas, because we haven't yet got the ice, we've all now seems to have this array of PVC piping and shoes in hand luggage.
Interestingly, when Andy got pulled aside for his body cavity search
Body
at the,
cavity
at
search
the
at the airport, because Andy does look a little bit like a meth dealer at times, but it's just his muso look. They
were really disinterested. They're like, what are these? Brooms. And just
didn't even open the PVC
they
piping.
just wanted to go through his underwear,
Just
didn't
went
they?
through his underwear. All right, I don't really get it, but so that'd be a lesson for you. But please, for any drug traders listening to this YouTube, please don't do it, because I really don't want to be stopped every time we go through the airport to have my broom searched. Right? Like, seriously.
All right, have we missed anything important here
No,
while discussing
absolutely
brooms?
nothing.
Okay. Come on, lads.
So Dustin's going to be thinking here, because he wants to get a 2 out of this, right? He can't just have a single. He's currently sitting 1. Mm-hmm. All right. I don't know. I think I'd almost just... He's going to do what he's going to do. It depends on what you feel that you're more likely to make.
So some shots are easier to make than others.
Yeah. I mean, he could just... he's not playing this shot. He's currently coming to try and freeze it over there. It's a hard choice.
Would you come around behind those red guards?
You've got to be
or
counting.
would they
So
fire those back?
You've always got to just, where's your second shot? Apparently we've been asked if we're commentating the finals.
Do Do you want us to?
Oh, look, we've been sent the history of curling. People are like, want us to know the actual truth. Does anyone want to know the actual truth? We're just creating some stuff. History of curling.
Fake news.
Fake news. Is this like trying to take all my things? All right. Oh, it's called the roaring game. Roar came from noise of the granite stone, travels over the ice. There really is no roar on this ice. Reese has made the ice way too nice.
It's Hugh roaring, not the
Yeah,
stones.
Hugh does roar a lot.
Hurry!
He's not a small lad. He's got a pair of lungs on him. Oh, God. I think, Jen, next time you send me the history of curling, I actually just need
Can we get the Cliff's Notes?
I just need the two-liners,
The
like
abridged
point
version.
form. Can you send me point form? This is way too long for my attention span just
Thanks,
about
Jen.
now. Thanks, Jen. Love you, Jen. It's awesome. I love playing with Jen. She does all of the knowledge-based stuff, and I go with the vibe stuff. So we make the perfect team. We've really enjoyed playing together, as we always do.
Got last rocks here.
I did say to Jen today that I think she's my favourite for, I said she's my favorite. No, I said to her she's my favourite fourth rock person until actually then Aggie overtook her. Sorry, Jen. We'll see how that works tomorrow. What you can really see on the ice here is that all of these teams on the ice are actually having a hoot, right? And even like when Dustin knows he's got to play a hero shot, you can see he's really enjoying himself.
It is a fun game.
It's a super fun game. Phil Goshnick's not looking quite as happy at the moment, but
no, there's a lot of red.
There's a lot of red in the house, and he's sitting there with a single yellow at the other end. But here he goes. This is Phil. But just remember, Andy still has the technique of tapping others in.
Yes.
He's going to try and freeze that onto there. He's actually looking like a good rock there from Phil. But they shouldn't have swept that.
No. Get it out. Oh.
We're talking about the wrong sheet.
Sorry.
Online viewers.
Sorry.
We got distracted with our
coaching duties.
With our coaching duties. Andy actually needs to hit this out. He's going the in to out.
Oh, look at this. Look at this. Oh, no. Smidge heavy.
Oh. So there's just he's given a bit of backing there. Actually, he doesn't have backing. The other red will be counting. He's just got to sit it on. Don't know why he wants it in the centre. Anyway. He's happy with that. All right. If Dustin can get this draw to the button, LSD to the button, then he will have 2 rocks. Just has to sit anywhere in the forefoot in that red strip, and he's got 2. That would bring it up to 5-3.
Much needed
to
boost to the scoreboard.
Yeah. Andy has missed his hit.
Andy.
Was a hard one, in to out. Oh, no, he got it.
Got a piece of it.
Managed it. There's no confidence in your husband. Sorry, Andy. Apologise. Let's talk to the marriage counsellor.
Oh, here comes Dustin. Final rock.
Andy's only just realised that was the last rock at the end. I sometimes forget that too. I've done well. All right,
you
great.
also sometimes forget whether we have hammer or not.
I do sometimes forget if we have hammer. It's an important thing for the skip to remember.
Oh, he's pulled up a bit short here.
Yeah, he has, unfortunately. So that's 1 to Dustin. He had
1 yellow.
1 yellow. So it's coming in to the 7th end on sheet C. 5-2. Still anyone's game, but I think we'd all prefer possibly to be Team Johns at this stage. But just remembering that this actually does not count. I think if we've stuffed up did you just say that out loud? Anyway, whatever. The score now at the end of the 6th end is 5 to Team Johns and 2 to Team Armstrong. So 2 ends to go, unless they can equalise and take it to an extra end, which would bring Sandy great joy.
They always are really excited when they have to umpire.
They're
an
very,
extra
very
end.
excited. The look on Rob's face is just joy.
Because it gets quite cold for them in there.
Quite cold.
Poor Sandy has to
Sandy
have
has special socks.
heated socks, which I think I need to look into this.
Okay. She's actually only put it onto level 2,
So she doesn't
so that she
melt
doesn't
through
actually
the
melt
ice.
through ice, which is very responsible of her. So she's really suffering for the good of our sport.
She is.
Uh,
What a legend.
what a legend, Aussie legend. So there we go. Jen and I, as usual, agree. Aggie is both of our favourite fourth person, rocks person.
It's an effervescent delivery there.
That's it. It is indeed. Thanks, Derek, for that. Lovely shot.
Looking like a lovely centre guard.
So we haven't actually had the tick rule come into play.
No.
We had the Hugh not counting the rocks and taking out a guard before the 5 rock play, but not a tick. It's actually quite hard to see the centre line here. We've put in special request to Reese, and he's told us to bugger off to put that centre line in.
I
which
do
is
like
fair.
the addition of the fluoro green.
I do like the fluoro
outer
green.
bit.
He received some flack on that. I like it.
Yeah, I do too. I
it's
think
nice.
it just adds a little bit of extra
A little bit of a pop.
spice to the rings.
So Hugh at this stage really just trying to keep the point score low, just trying to get some stuff in there that makes it annoying. They're just going to hit till the cows come home.
A lot of this game is just trying to annoy the opposition, isn't
Oh,
it?
yeah. Super annoying. So Dustin's just ignored it. That's quite short.
It's looking like. Are they going to hog it? He's
Derek's
hogged it.
a little bit disappointed by himself in that one, but he shouldn't be. He's been playing a pretty good game this tournament.
So if it doesn't make it over that red line,
Derek's still in
Doesn't
Brisbane,
count.
isn't he? He's in Queensland at the moment. So if he does get to curl, it's on Boondall that apparently has moguls. So, you know, he's been getting his eye in the game again, back on Kiwi ice. So they just had a little bit of a discussion with the umpire there as to whether that really was a centre guard, because they're doing an in to out. Not that that would have hit that one, but I think they were looking at other options. So the
Down
sweepers
the
are
centre.
commenting on increased weight than what they were hoping. When the weight's up, it means that you've got, if you try and direction it, you might make it go further, and therefore it's not much help. So you really, if your weight's a little under, you can
sweep
drag
that
it
one
and
right out the back.
direction it out.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
So the line was perfect, just the weight was a little bit up on that one, which is why it ended up back there. It's that difficult thing, you're trying to adjust it, and there's the two things, line and weight. Get the two together and you can go off to the Olympics like Dean and Tylee hopefully are. You get one of the two and you end up in the peanut gallery commentating at the finals. Oh, good. My beloved online guru has told me, so thanks, Jen. Everyone says curling originated in Scotland, which is where it was first written down, but there is a Flemish painting from around the same time that also depicts it.
There we go.
But it's definitely not Canada. That's
No.
fake news.
Fake news.
Fake news, which we all know originated in a different part of North America. But they certainly do have a lot of curlers.
And
But
a lot of curling rinks. I was there earlier in the year, and I think I visited 5 different rinks within about a 10-kilometre radius.
Yep. I feel that they're spoilt for rinks. Well, we just want one happy one.
And I think they took pity on us and gave us a crap ton of practice ice for very little dollars. We played the "We're poor Aussies who don't have any ice" card, and they were lovely, as Canadians often are.
They are indeed. The
A?
To be fair, A. Yeah. We're all in unity with our Canadian friends now that we know that they've had some recent difficulties. We hope to remain firm and steadfast friends with our Canadian colleagues. I have to say that taking juniors over to Europe, though, every single country, they always make you so welcome. They help with coaching, help with ice.
The community is a
amazing,
really amazing place. Quirky.
Yes.
Very quirky. Eclectic.
Eclectic, yes. Life would be boring without a little bit of quirky eclectic.
Yes. But great folks. Good fun.
So Dustin's really setting up for a steal on this end, which is what he needs.
Lots of guards.
Yeah, Hugh is going to go on a little hitty frenzy, but unfortunately for Dustin, it's actually Hugh that has a rock in the house.
There has been less hitting than I've expected. I thought it would be a bit of a smash fest.
Well, there hasn't been a lack of hits, I'd say.
But there's been some very nice draws.
Nice. Oh, yeah, there have been some excellent draws. Trying for a double. Ooh.
Get it out.
So you can only sweep the opposition's rock out once it goes past the tee line, just for those watching that don't know the game.
And I have to remember that for mixed doubles.
Yes, you do.
Because I'm not usually in the house, and I get a bit excited.
You also can't have 2 of your sweepers behind the tee line. So you can have 2 sweepers or 3 sweepers, 4 if you really care, not that it really matters, before the tee line, but after the tee line, just 1 sweeper. And that's because you can't be sweeping a rock on either side of the house. You have to choose which one you want to actually sweep back. They've got to get past. They're just putting another guard up, so they're just going to keep guarding until they then, at some stage, are going to have to decide, and they're probably going to get Dustin to try the same shot twice. You want to be able to get your draw weight and know your draw line, so ideally you set it up so your skip can play the same rock twice.
Makes it a bit easier.
Makes it a bit easier for them.
Well, we've got some gesticulation from Hugh. I think Hugh's called a peel here.
Oh,
Didn't
just
quite get
missed the double, but they managed to take their own rock off to the side, which they're pretty happy with. The problem with this is that they don't even want to leave their own as a guard. They don't want anything to guard behind.
It's hard because when it gets close, like it's so fun on the day. You feel such a sense of you're like.
This stage is looking very hard for Dustin's having to go for an aggressive steal, which is just going to put him at risk of losing 2. I think if he loses 2, then it's going to be a handshake, most likely. But if he steals it, then it's game on.
It's looking a bit light. But
This is over the hog line. Any guard is a guard when you're trying to steal aggressively.
guard is good.
It's actually not bad because it's much harder to get the double out from the guards.
And that's in zone 1.
Zone 1, just over the hog line. So you do have to be all the way over that hog line. You can't just be biting the hog line. Although if someone hits the one on the hog line,
Yes.
and it's not all the way over the hog line, but it's hit one that
Still
is in
in
play,
play.
it is still in play.
A lot of people often kick that one
They
out.
do kick that one out.
And that's what I hate. And I think basketball should
Looks like Team Collins is up on sheet B.
So Team Collins actually needed to win this game to get to the quarterfinals. And if they win this, they'll actually be placed third, believe it or not. But if they'd lost it, it would have been a 3-way tie and they would have been relegated out because of their last stone draw.
They're
which
not just
does
pretty
matter.
shirts.
Not just pretty shirts, those boys. However, they could still clutch defeat from the jaws of victory. So stay tuned and we'll let you know. They're going into their 7th end and he is throwing his second last rock.
They've got a pretty much absolute beginner as their lead on their team. And he's done an amazing job of picking everything up. And
Correct. So they lost their player at the last minute. You do need to start the tournament with 4 people or you can't start. So they decided to teach a beginner how to curl, and he's loving it and will be coming back. And more excitedly, has not injured himself, which is also part of the game with bringing a beginner to nationals. I just saw an unfortunate little bit of a misuse of the hack there. So sometimes we just have to protect our hack. We have to make sure that our rocks don't hit the hack, particularly in places like Australia where our hacks are just frozen in. They'll just come out. So very protective of our hack. When I accidentally don't protect the hack, I apologise to Reese out the back.
sorry, Reese. Going for a hit here.
I know we're being criticised for our lack of swear words from behind.
We did ask about the swearing policy.
We got
We've been
given a
very
policy.
good. We're normally very sweary.
We got given a policy. I can't read it because I need my glasses, but
We have a whole list of things we can't say.
I actually did want to pull this one out for the record,
Okay.
but Hugh hasn't been sweeping, so
know, it's
there is
disappointing.
one that we can't say, which I want to say. Hugh's too small to be sweeping effectively.
So small.
So small. So we have to be careful. We don't criticise individual players
Too much.
too much. Apparently.
I think they've all been playing very well.
They've actually all been playing very well. It's actually been a really nice game to watch.
It's sad. I wanted to heckle mercilessly.
I know. Well, we will, but just not when we're commentating.
That's for later.
That's for later.
You can tune into the late night episode.
There is the R-rated version that
We're calling it Behind the Hack.
Behind the Hack. Tune into Fiona and Anne's Behind the Hack for the finals. It will not be part of Curling Australia's
Offerings. Official offerings. Oh dear.
All right, here we go. What's he thinking? Doesn't like it. They had to have a little team meeting there. A little bit of a
Was that a timeout?
boys. No, wasn't it a time? Not sure Hugh has the attention span for a timeout. I think he quite happy just to play it.
I'm pleased that the men's team haven't called a timeout from their
No, it'd
team.
be
'cause
hard.
One of us would have to run down.
I'm not sure. Well, actually, legally, you're not allowed to be in communicado. Actually, we're not really in communicado with anyone,
No.
are we? We're in our own little box here. But They did try and call a timeout when we were actually playing
Yes.
on another sheet, and that was not
They're
kosher.
like, we can't coach
We
you.
can't coach you while we're playing, but that's okay. I think that is not what they wanted.
Ooh.
It's okay.
So there's one red sitting at the back there.
Whew. All right, so this is what Dustin wanted. He wanted a shot at this. He's really just trying to hide that around, and he's going to try and force Hugh to draw to the button. That's what he's after. He has to be out counting, obviously, the red in play.
Yep.
But the thing about that red in play is that if he's at all showing, then Hugh can hit and doesn't mind if he loses his shooter.
Yep.
So it's he really has to bury it. And then that forces Hugh to try and have a draw to the button.
He has had nice draw weight tonight, though, Dustin.
He's had very nice draw weight. His sweepers have been calling it well.
They're on it.
They've got to call line early. That's over curling. Got to get it round that second guard, which I
is it
think
gonna
they're
tick?
going to struggle with. Yeah, that's not what they wanted,
Not
unfortunately.
ideal.
Actually, beautiful weight, just didn't give it quite enough ice.
Yeah. It is very swingy.
It's much easier, I find, to curl a rock round than it is to keep it straight. But, you know, you can do both with the sweeping technique, which is what they were trying for. But the weight was perfect, actually.
He's really
Dustin's-
got that dialed in, doesn't he?
It's always hard playing those last rocks. But good
High
team.
pressure.
Yeah, high pressure. Good team dynamics there. Very supportive. I think Sheep B has shook. Final score 11-3. So Team Collins progresses
for the
to
win.
the quarterfinals along with Team Goshnik. They both go, and I think Team Gagnon was hoping that the Goshnik team would do an upset there. So they're going to just play each other again tomorrow morning, as Sheet C are going to be playing each other tomorrow morning. Sheet D, which is the final sheet that was at play, is currently sitting at 2-6 at the 7th end. Team Gallagher is ahead.
Called one red there
Actually, could tick
in the
if they-
7th end.
All right, so last
end to
end
go.
6-2. They might shake on this, but I think they're maybe just thinking about the fact that they're going to be playing each other tomorrow morning, and if there's anything maybe they need to work on. That's totally legal because they really need to eliminate 4-5 rocks before it's not possible to draw it up for an extra end. It's always the person that is coming from behind that gets the decision to shake. So there's some lovely photos happening over here on sheet B of those. They're actually quite colour coordinated with...
That looks like they're posing up a storm there.
Posing up a storm on sheet B. Very happy
Work it,
lads.
boys, work it.
They're ready for the grudge match tomorrow morning. I'm looking forward to that.
They're all looking very smiley.
Very smiley. Spirit of curling. Andy nearly stacked it. So don't do that, Sweet Pea. Played very well. There were some actually
Good lads.
brilliant shots happening from both sides on sheet
Some
B.
excellent coaching has. So, what's Hugh aiming for here?
Hugh is probably
A
in the
flash?
house or through the house. I think he's looking at lines, so he's actually... They're watching that closely just to try and work out some of the difficult lines.
Flashy.
He does not want any rocks in play.
Okay.
He wants nothing to freeze to. If it was closer and it was only like a steal of 2, potentially he'd put it in the house, or a steal of 1. But
So
I think
you think that was an intentional flash?
that was a most intentional flash. We could heckle him and say it's not, but, you know, it was. It's actually really good as lead when you're in this position.
I love it when somebody
your
says,
stats are suddenly
throw it out. I'm like,
100%.
I can totally do that.
It's the best way
Not
to
a
get your stats
problem.
up to 100%.
Not a problem.
Makes the leads look good. This is what all teams should strive for their leads. Nothing like those international competitions where they give the stats of each team and then the leads are like, well, my stats are 90, whatever
I'm so
percent.
awesome. This looks like another flashy.
If that had been a closer corner guard, the other thing you can do is just try to tip it across a bit and lose your own shooter. And because even if you take it out of play, you just put it back. It's the same as throwing it through.
Yeah.
So you just don't want to leave your own around. But they're playing very traditional play. So here, Dustin's just going to have to play all guards, and then Hugh's just going to start hitting them out. And then once we no
the
longer
5
have...
rock rule is
complete.
hopefully he remembers what that is this time.
Whew. That's a really nice corner guard. If it had been biting, it would have been taken out by Hugh, but it's sitting very tight to the rings, which is super nice. Usually, though, we used to think corner guards right out. Nowadays, people tend to bring their corner guards a little bit closer to the centre line. Just because the ice is so swingy, you got a lot of play.
Easier to tuck behind.
Yeah. But any guard is a good guard when you've got to get a bundle.
Rocks in
Yeah.
play, rocks in play, rocks in play.
Rocks in play. So I'd be double guarding at this stage, but I'll see what they do. Yeah.
So many guards.
I'm hearing some good Kiwi accents behind me. There's Pete Becker, Naseby legend behind us, giving commentary, trying to work out what this single clock means. I don't know if that's needs to make sure it's over, boys. They're doing up and over. Just trying to keep them as far away from each other as possible so that they just can't take a double. Yep. So now that the 5 rock rule is complete, Hugh's going to go on a hitting frenzy.
Smashy time.
It's smashy time.
One of my personal favourite times.
Absolutely. I want the smashy, not the flashy. See what Matt Panussi. Very experienced players on these teams.
Or Panini, as he was called.
Panini, as he was called on the previous commentary. We quite like that. And very much a foodie flavour to it.
Ooh.
Very nice. That's a very... He wants to lose his own shooter just as much as the other oppositions.
So we're ideally looking for a 4.
And Sheik D has also shaked.
Shooken.
I don't know. Had a shake. And they're having some nice, joyous photos on the ice. So Team Gallagher have been successful at going through to the quarterfinals tomorrow, and they'll be facing up against
Halushak.
backswing Blushak.
So that final score was 2-8.
I don't really want that one deep, boys. Let's just set up for a double there for Hugh. I think he's
Double
getting
it,
in there.
double it. Ready for a Steve Johns rocket. So Hugh's kind of pointing out where he wants the rocks to.
Plan A, plan B. At some stage, Dustin's going to have to start putting these yellows in, sadly for him. To be right about now. This is the end of his guarding. So they're going to
One
double
smashy.
tap. So now it's pretty much every rock has to be in the house, or they don't actually have to shake, because with rocks in play as guards, even though they're not ever going to make it to the house,
It's still mathematically
it's still
possible.
mathematically possible. Although that guard at the top, you could actually chip it in and get 2 in if it was the last shot. But the one that's the high guard is not really feasible. So if we don't make it all the way through this end, you actually do put the X's up. You can see that on sheet D.
And B.
But if you make it to the last shot, even if the last shot is not played, then the score is placed on the scoreboard. So they need to make sure this really is in the house. They
Come
need to
on,
make
lads.
sure they're not short.
Sweep.
They don't want it deep. They want it, but they need to be biting. Cannot be light on this. I'd be
Sweep,
having a
sweep,
little bit of a
sweep,
panic
sweep,
attack
sweep,
there,
sweep,
boys.
sweep,
'Cause you better be biting, or Dustin might have a meltdown. Oh,
It looks like it has a nibble.
it's a nibble.
We call these flobs, but I can't say why.
I have no idea why.
There's
is that just
there's
you? Does anyone? Is it
yeah,
just,
this is what we
fine.
picked up
This is in
in
Canada.
America earlier this year. So it's bleep little outside biter.
Well, biter makes sense because you're biting the edge.
Flob.
Flob doesn't make sense. We'll have to get some North American to explain a flob to us. Totally fine. It's looking very, very unpleasant.
Yeah.
Still, you have to look at it that Dustin's just looking at lines and things and his team play and communication, because this is not the end for them. This is them working at their team line calls, team strategy, preparing for tomorrow. This is a new team for them. They've been great at taking on a junior onto the team. So kudos to Dustin for taking Thomas onto the team as second and giving them this experience at Nationals. It's great work. So they want to be tucking behind. They're just being a little bit light on their... So that hit the straight spot, I think, as well. That sits on that sheet.
Well, that's why it's good to kind of have some time learning and mapping
So-
the sheets that you're going to be playing on in the finals.
I'm not sure if he was just joking when he called a timeout, but if he wants the umpire to hit him in the head, then that's a good way of having that happen. Although I was hearing a statistic earlier today that more often than not people were more likely to miss their shot if they call a timeout
Yes.
rather than just play it. So
Just get on with it, people.
get on with it.
Get it done.
Please, the peanut
Also,
gallery,
I
get it
really
done.
want a drink.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Can you
Yeah,
get on
hurry
with
up.
it?
Yeah, we got banned from drinking while we were commentating, which we may have
That we were breathalyzed
Slightly
before getting the
breathalyzed.
headphones
Apparently,
on.
there was a predecessor to us that might have broken the Spirit of Curling Award.
Maybe we need an anti-spirit award.
Alrighty, I think that's a shake now. No? Yeah. All right, great game, and we're going to see these lads back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.
9
If anyone
a.m.
wants to
sharp.
tune in, there will be someone else commentating because we will
We'll
also
be
be
playing.
playing in the quarterfinals.
We hope you've
All right.
enjoyed this broadcast, and
we'll not see you again.
good night.
Good night.